Alrighty, folks, let's get this party started. Although it's really not a party, and it's really not something that should be, celebrated. Today we are going to be watching Narcissist acts as his own lawyer, accidentally proves he's guilty. This was uploaded by Dreading Crime and Psychology 2 months ago. I believe the individual in this is named Bradley Yawn, who is apparently accused of kidnapping. There's a lot of, There's a whole bunch of links here, so I think this is their sources. Let's take a look. You can just, read it really quick. Bowden fights with bailiff at a conclusion motion. Jury selection begins on Monday. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Hold on, I'm reading this. Give me 2 minutes here. My gosh. Okay. See, this dude is making a lot of bad choices back to back to back. Let's just take another random look at the source here. Oh no. Okay, well, one of their sources isn't working anymore. That's not so good. Let's, hold on a minute. Let's see here. Home invasion. This has nothing to do with... Okay, hold on now. Because this has nothing to do with, this, I think. At least I'm pretty sure, so I don't know how that got in there. What about this one? Oh my gosh. Oh dear. 70-year-old victim? Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, if this gets too dark and grim, we can watch something else, but I think this is good right now. Let me turn on subtitles for my subtitle-loving friends, and... Oh, I actually have this muted. Let's not do that.
It was a cold November night when 77-year-old Tina Lohman found herself stranded on the side of the road. The sun had...
Oh my gosh, she wasn't 70, she was 77. Oh my goodness, she was almost 80. Okay, wait.
set early that day, and she was making her way back home down a country road when her headlights had gone out. She immediately pulled over, knowing that driving in the darkness would not only endanger herself, but other drivers as well. She was parsing through whether she should...
This is the correct thing to do. You need to turn your hazards on. You just go off to the side of the road, turn your hazards on, call for help. But just, I don't know. For most people, or at least people who are born a woman, like I am, we prefer not to accept help from random strangers because random strangers can turn out to be creeps like this guy probably is.
Call her husband or...
Balding freak. Balding freak. See, okay, because look, bald like this, like the guy to the left, that is a hairstyle. Balding is not a hairstyle.
Roadside assistance when a car pulled up behind her. The mother of four could make out two people inside of the car, a spindly white man with strawberry blonde hair and a black woman. They looked like a couple, and the elderly woman was put at ease. If the pair were together, she figured that...
Oh, okay, wait, so that explains the link to the other woman. If she was in the passenger seat while he was doing this, that explains why her link was there. Okay, so that makes more sense. Okay, never mind.
If the man was accompanied by his partner, she would be more or less safe. Tina was heartened by the fact that the pair had come to her aid so quickly without needing to be asked. But these strangers unfortunately had other plans. Welcome back to another episode of Dreading. Or if this is your first time here, welcome. Today we're going to be reviewing the trial of Bradley Yawn and how he sought to defend himself in court, despite the fact that there was concrete, definitive evidence of his guilt. But Bradley, like every...
Okay, so this is just something to note. Someone once said that if you are your own lawyer, you have a fool for a client, which essentially means that if you're being your own lawyer, you're acting silly because you probably just don't know the law as well as an actual lawyer does. And if you've seen actual lawyers when they go to court, I believe they bring their own lawyers, they have other lawyers to review, because it may not be the kind of law that they specialize in, or it could be something else entirely, but I'm pretty sure when a lawyer gets sued or a lawyer gets arrested, they have a lawyer.
The other criminal, who has acted as their own legal counsel, was too blinded by his own narcissism to see this fact. As always, if there's a video you would like to see on the channel...
I'm not sure if he's a narcissist or if Dreading is just the channel is using this as like a catch-all word for someone with narcissistic behavior. Unless he's been like diagnosed as a narcissist, I wouldn't call him that, but we'll see.
Or a story you want to bring more attention to, let us know by emailing me at dreading.official@gmail.com. We're consistently going through the email and adding your suggestions to the list of stories to cover. But be aware we are just 2 people, so it will take us some time to make every video that's been requested. But again, we are trying. Before we go any further, this case deals with sexual assault and abuse of an elderly woman. We tried to cover the story as empathetically as possible, but the subject matter is deeply disturbing and could be triggering for some people. If you believe that engaging with this content would hurt your mental health, please click off of the video now. Your well-being.
Yup. Everything that he's saying, I agree with. Just click off if you are not able to handle something like that. And if you need to be in a different place right now, then go right ahead. We'll probably do something a little bit more PG than what we're doing, or at least what I'm up to right now. So yeah, all the love in the world.
Should always come first, but we cannot make that decision for you. So if this is where you leave us, have a great day and remember, stay safe. But with all of that said, let's begin.
You, just you, building your app on Base 44.
Shh. We don't want advertisements.
Before we go over the details of what happened to Tina, we want to emphasize that she was so much more than the worst night of her life. Tina was a loving wife, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, and friend. She ran a small business with her husband, and she was extremely well-loved. She was the type of person who was deeply considerate of other people, even those she didn't really know, and saw the best in the world around her. Reporting on her likes and interests was sparse, but according to those closest to her, to know Tina was to love her. Tina pulled over to the side of the road. Karen Blackledge and Bradley Yawn would follow suit. Bradley would exit the car and force his way into Tina's vehicle. Understanding that she was in danger and hoping to prevent Yawn from killing her, she told him that she would give him everything she had on her person, and went further to tell him that if it wasn't enough to let her go, she would take him to her home and allow him to steal all of her jewelry, money, and material possessions. She was terrified that she would be hurt or killed, and wouldn't live to see the coming holidays that she was so excited for. But according to the statements that she would give to the police, as well as her husband's testimony, Bradley seemed to enjoy her fear. After she had given the man all of the items on her...
Ew. Oh my god. I will never understand someone who, finds enjoyment in being harmful or, hurting another person because it, makes them happy. I don't know. I cannot conceptualize doing that to another person, and I feel like that's a me issue, but... Ew. He has no empathy. I think he deserves to rot in jail. Bye.
Person, he forced her to perform oral sex on him, and then told her that if she wanted to live, she would take them to her home. The 77-year-old then started the car, and cautiously made her way back to the rural home, praying that someone would appear and save her, while simultaneously making a plan to escape her captors. Blackledge had not left the car during the assault, but understood what was happening. When Tina began to drive down the road, Karen followed, keeping a close distance to ensure that when the duo was done, they'd be able to make a quick getaway. Once outside the isolated home, Tina was able to get the upper hand on her assailants. She sprang out of the car with a vigor that neither Karen nor Bradley knew that she had, and ran into the home. She was able to lock the door behind her before going into the master bedroom.
Get him, girl. I know that's right. Good job.
To look for a gun. Her mind was racing, thinking only of survival, but in her panic, she was unable to locate a weapon or make sure that the entire home had been properly locked. While she searched...
Okay, but still, she's 77 years old. A 77-year-old woman should not be fearing for her life right now in her own home. No one should be fearing for their life in their own home. But here we are.
For the weapon, Bradley broke down the garage door, entering the home to continue the attack. When he came upon the frightened woman, he grabbed her, pulled her towards the basement of the home, and threw her down the steep steps. He then dragged her body back up and sexually assaulted her once again. While he assaulted Tina, Karen went through the home, stealing anything she thought the pair could use to get money. She also would take part in the sexual assault, using a weapon to violate Tina. Once satisfied with their haul, the pair would leave her bruised, bloody, and unable to walk on the floor. But a short time later, her husband, Timothy Schmidt, would arrive home and find his wife. They would call the police, and
Oh, my God. What was even the purpose of all this? Drug money? Were they, trying to get money for drugs or something? What would prompt you to do this to another person, another living, breathing person?
Immediately report what happened to her. She was able to give the police a description of everything that happened, which included the car that the couple had been driving. With her help, the police were able to identify her attacker, and they would be arrested the following day. But unfortunately, Tina would perish nearly a month after the attack. Luckily, she had lived a full and beautiful life, but it would be cut short due in no small part to Bradley Yawn and Karen Blackledge. It would likely not surprise you to know that this was not Bradley or Karen's first run-in with the law. In fact, they had long rap sheets, full of both nonviolent and violent offenses. 3 weeks prior to the attack on Christine.
Okay. This may be a little bit judgmental, but if you have like a violent crime and a conviction of a violent crime on your record, maybe they shouldn't let you out so easy without, like someone being like, hey, you still doing crimes over there, buddy? Like, oh my God. Like, okay. They've already been convicted of other crimes, which, forgivable, right? But violent crimes? Another person got hurt, and now you've taken an old lady's life, or an older woman's life? Like,
Bradley had been mistakenly released from jail for another violent offense. This oversight directly enabled Yawn to flee the area, then meet up with Blackledge and go off on their own.
Never mind. Oh my God. Literally, oh my God. I can't even. Oh, that's so gross. Oh my gosh. Hold on a minute. Did my phone freeze up? Give me 2 seconds here. Why am I frozen? Am I frozen? Hello? Okay. Sorry. Had to look for signs of life real quick. It's minor technical issues, per usual. A little bit of scuff. A little bit of scuff for the road.
Crime spree.
Nope.
The car they had used to follow Tina had been stolen earlier that day. They had robbed multiple different homes and businesses, and the deceased body of a man was found in the trunk of the car, directly outside of the home they were found in. Though that does seem to be unrelated, but a strange happenstance nonetheless. The pair was charged with 2 counts of home invasion, 1 count of aggravated kidnapping, 1 count of aggravated vehicular hijacking, 1 count of aggravated criminal sexual assault, and residential burglary. Additionally, Yawn faced charges of residential burglary, 2 counts of theft or unauthorized control of property over $500 but under $10,000, and criminal sexual abuse. However, the pair would choose to handle the cases against them differently. Blackledge would initially plead not guilty, but would ultimately take a plea deal. She would plead guilty to the charges of home invasion and aggravated criminal sexual assault, but the prosecution would dismiss the other 3 charges. Blackledge believed that this deal would mean that she would receive a lighter sentence to be able to walk freely among the public relatively soon. She was shocked and deeply upset to learn that that wasn't the case when she received a 40-year sentence. After sentencing,
40 years minimum.
Karen would write a letter to the Adams County Circuit Clerk saying her legal representation was, quote, less than efficient and effective, unquote, and led her to agree to 2 20-year sentences to the Illinois Department of Corrections. She claimed that she was pressured to accept the plea deal, even though she hadn't been shown the evidence against her, and that had she understood the case against her, she would have wanted to go to trial. At the same time, Blackledge alleged that she had only received a harsh sentence because, quote, I didn't know the victim's family knew as many people as they did, and that they had used nepotism to influence the result of the trial. Her statements held no water.
Excuse you? Nepotism? You killed the lady. Pardon? Excuse-moi? Hello? What?
Therefore, her request to have her sentence vacated was denied. Meanwhile, Bradley was adamant that he would fight the charges against him, come hell or high water. He would put in a not guilty plea immediately, and would...
Of course, someone with an ego the size of Texas would be like, I'm not guilty, I didn't do anything. Oh my gosh. Literally vaporize this guy. Off the planet. Meow.
Then fire his lawyer, stating that the public defender was ineffective and simply out to get him. He would lash out at everyone in the courtroom and...
How can everyone be out to get him? Why would everyone be out to get you if you did not do anything wrong? Why would everyone be out to get you if... distasteful. I'm not going to waste words on him much longer.
Including the judge, believing that they were all conspiring against him for some unknown reason. He was adamant that he wanted to represent himself, but months later would change his mind and be assigned a second public defender. A month later, he would fire that attorney as well, alleging in court that the judge was purposely trying to push the trial back to, quote, waste his time, unquote, despite his own antics being...
Oh, you're just mad you're trapped in jail. You're mad you're where the criminals go. And that's probably where you're going to be for the rest of your life, living in fear of what other people will do to you, like what you did to her.
Behind the trial's delay. While awaiting trial, Bradley would then pick up more charges, including threatening to kill correctional officers and
Can you not chill out for like 5 minutes? Oh my god.
possessing contraband thumb drives. Before the trial even began, he was sentenced to 7 years on unrelated charges. Jan's behavior in the lead up to his trial was similar to Sarah Boone, who routinely complained about her lawyers, leading to their firing and replacement. Every time a new lawyer was brought on to represent Sarah, the trial had to be delayed.
Oh my god. She went through like 7 or 8 lawyers. I don't even remember how many lawyers she went through, but it was like a genuinely ridiculous amount, and it took so long for the victim's family to get justice. And I don't know, I feel like she should have been allowed to fire that many lawyers. Not that I wanted to be the lawyer that was like stuck with her, but like, I don't know, the fact that she did all that and skirted justice for so long really annoys me. Then again, she had to spend all that time in jail, so I'm not all that mad. She just went to her forever home a little early.
Way they could go over all the relevant information and evidence so they could create the best, most effective argument in her defense, and then contact experts who could defend their case. The amount of work necessary to present a diligent defense was high, but something that Sarah would not see while incarcerated. Because she wasn't treated as if she was on her own legal team and didn't witness the work that they were doing on her behalf, she would tell the court that she was being neglected and treated poorly. This would immediately result in every one of her lawyers requesting to be taken off the case, believing that they could not please such a demanding client. It's unclear if this was a tactic that Boone was using in order to buy time before her trial, or if she was genuinely displeased with their work, or some mix of the two. Based solely on her letters, we feel that her anger towards her lawyers was genuine, and the trial being pushed back was simply a happy consequence. Bradley?
Honestly, I feel like it's more so control issues in a way. Like this, like that was a woman who was very clearly never told no, and when she was told no and she didn't get her way, she like lost her marbles, as you can see. Like the crime that she committed, she lost her marbles when she was told no, and like I don't know. I'm not an expert. This is not legal advice.
Bradley's behavior feels similar, although a bit more deliberate. He was a career criminal who had been through the system a number of times. He was well aware that he would have virtually no power or control over the remainder of his life if he was found guilty, and wanted to spend the lead up to the trial forcing the courts to cater to his wants. Bradley also demonstrated that he had little ability to regulate his emotions. Shocker, lashing out aggressively at everyone involved in the trial. This culminated in him being kicked out of the courtroom a number of times, including one instance where he had to be wrestled to the ground and pulled out. Unfortunately, we weren't...
Oh my gosh, that image was in one of the sources that we looked at. Oh, I love someone who sources where they get their content from. That is perfect. And it was in the description too, even if it's not captioned here. It's a source. Now, would I like to see a source along the top or the bottom or just somewhere on the side?
Weren't able to find a video of that incident, but shown on screen should be a fairly emasculating photo of that happening.
To start a podcast with Rivers.
And we have another advertisement. Boop, boop.
His trial would take place on July 11th, 2023, where Jan was tasked with defending himself. We'll be going over his opening and closing statements today, as we feel that they showcase how unintelligent, emotionally inept, and aggressively narcissistic that he was. His arguments revolve around there being a statewide conspiracy against him for some unknown reason. This sort of defense is extremely common for narcissists, especially those who defend themselves in court, because they can't.
Delusions of grandeur. I love me some delusions of grandeur where they're like, yeah, I'm the best person to ever exist ever, actually. And I'm so much more important than you. Like, just fundamentally, as a person. You see this a lot with older people, too.
can't properly conceptualize their own, frankly, stupid actions. In their minds, the idea that they were caught for their crimes feels less possible than the idea that the victim, police, judge, and other high-ranking authority figures are all out to get them. It's a very difficult defense to put forward because you need to prove that all the evidence against you has been tampered with in some way, and that the state has a reason to frame you for the crime. This is a substantially difficult bar to clear.
Especially, okay, he's a white man. We already know the system is rigged for them to always win. Like every system ever in the United States is rigged for this kind of person to walk free. So the fact that it didn't and he couldn't like tee-hee his way out of it speaks volumes.
Simply because you have to prove that another crime has taken place and you're being scapegoated for some other unknown reason. You have to discredit every other person who comes forward against you, including the victim, but do so in a considered non-aggressive way, which is impossible to do in this case, given the victim died a month after the attack and was a 77-year-old woman. Trying to attack her or the family's credibility would be an extremely poor taste, even if done by a lawyer. But Bradley is not a lawyer. Bradley is a moron career criminal who spends an ungodly amount of time discussing the definitions of words as if he's trying to hit a word count in an essay. But before we go further, we think it's pertinent to place another warning on this footage. While we attempted to...
Is he going to be like, what does it mean? What does this word mean? This is what they want you to think of this word means, but what it actually means is this. And that's one of like the stupidest things. I hate it so much. It's when, because I took a speeches class, and when you deliver a speech, the whole thing, oh god, you can tell I did not do good in that class with how many times I use a filler word. But every time you speak or like do a speech, the whole point is that you're not supposed to drawl on or dawdle on. You're supposed to effectively communicate the points that you need to communicate. And because of the fact that he's defining so many words, it really just loses all meaning in the end, even if what he's trying to say may be a little bit more useful. But it's not.
Go over the case details with some tact, Bradley did not hold himself to any such standard. The way he talks about this case is abhorrent and would likely deeply be triggering to those who are sensitive to these discussions. If you felt uneasy about the case details before, it's likely in your best interest to again click off of this video now. We hope you have a wonderful day if that is the case, and we'll see you in the next video. This court footage was posted by Law and Crime again here on YouTube, and we'll put a link to the original upload in the description box down below, should you want to watch it without our commentary.
Mr. Yon, care to make any opening statements?
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
It's not yes, sir. It's yes, your honor, technically, but I feel like he would not respect the decorum of the court, even if he knew what was going on, because he doesn't. And his belt is too big for him.
What you just heard were theatrics. Theatrics. Something one puts forth in order to obtain and persuade you to obtain a conviction in a trial. I will concede that some things Ms. Keck here stated do in fact ring true. However, they're not as she stated them. There are many discrepancies in this case that have yet to be finalized. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, today this is going to be very hard for all of us. We have people here in the stands. It's going to be extremely hard for them. It's going to be extremely hard for you. It's extremely hard for myself.
But was it extremely hard when you took an old woman's life? And you stole from her? Was it?
One here on these claims. However, these claims are not quite true. And I will show you that today. I apologize for having you awesome people here today. Yes, it's a duty of citizenship to have to serve on a...
Quit blabbering directly at the jury. You're trying to prove yourself innocent. You're not trying to win brownie points with them. What do you want to be? World's most likable criminal?
jury every so often.
Well, you're never going to be in a jury again, because you're going to be rotting in a jail cell.
There's not many smiles today. However, I did see some yesterday. I appreciate them smiles. That has brought a light to my soul as I've been stuck here in this county jail, tormented for the last 19 months.
Boo-hoo, poor you. Did you think about that before you, viciously killed a lady? Was that... coming up on your radar at all? Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, that's what I thought. Of course it is.
I ask that you
because
forgive
only
my
think
appearance.
about
This is not normally me. I normally have hair. I did not expect you to feel sorry for me by any means.
I don't care if you have hair. Whatever. He's just pissing me off. His existence is agitating me.
I also understand you'd much rather be enjoying your summer at home rather than being in this courtroom. However, the powers that compel have brought you here today. I once heard that trials are based on persuasion. Who has the best persuasion in their words? Who can be persuaded by the persuadee? Words like persuasion, I believe they're negative myself. They're kind of like manipulation, very negative. It's negative in my insight to persuade somebody, especially when you want to persuade somebody as to the charges here today and not have the proof needed to present those theatrics and not have the proof needed to present those theatrics.
Theatrics. Do you have any other times you'd like to use the word theatrics, or did we just use all of our theatrics tricks? Are we out of them? Do you still want to use the word one more time?
To persuade one's life away, as Miss Keck stated, the sickening in herself, if they were to truly
I don't know if the video's glitchy or I'm glitchy, but one of them is definitely occurring.
happen, they're sick, they're demented, they're horrendous, horrid. Persuasion, I see that in the same sense as to persuade something that is not true is also sick. These are demented crimes.
Something we have noted in previous coverage of people like Bradley is that they typically believe that they are more intelligent and important than they really are, and for some reason will have an over-reliance on defining words. They feel as though being able to parse through a dictionary and recite what certain words mean is the ultimate show of intelligence, even though anyone with the ability to read can do so. We saw this with Robert Tellis, Sarah Boone, and Anthony Todd, 3 individuals who were completely shocked to find that the majority of people don't hold them as highly as they hold themselves. Bradley does this an excruciating amount of times
So he's an egomaniac, is what I'm hearing.
in his opening statement, because he's hoping that the jury will be impressed by how smart he is, and believe that he had nothing to do with the crime.
I'm so smart, I can't commit crimes because I'm so smart. That is his exact logic right now. That is so silly. Oh my gosh, no, it's not even silly, Wally. It's just plain old stupid, because he, ugh.
Bradley also apologizes for his appearance, which at first feels a bit odd. It's a fleeting statement, one that is out of place in the courtroom setting. He is dressed appropriately. He doesn't appear to be ill and is not injured. By all accounts, he has nothing to apologize for, but he then clarifies that he's apologizing for his lack of hair, as if having a receding hairline and a buzz cut is a sign of poor character. While the statement passes quickly, it does indicate how ego-driven the rapist is. His statement thus far is centered around the idea that the word persuasion implies being manipulated by someone, that one cannot be persuaded by the truth, even though that
Being persuaded is like changing your mind on a topic when you gain new information, which is what you're supposed to do. It's what scientists do every single day, and scientists are like one of the smartest people alive. They gain new information, and what do? They change course based on that newfound information.
is not the definition he just read out, but he fails to note that his goal is to persuade the jury to believe he is innocent, or at least there isn't enough evidence to convict him. That's the entire point of a
Oh, so he's like, they're trying to manipulate you, and I'm not trying to manipulate you, even though I am trying to manipulate you. Okay, nailed it. Great argument. Guilty. Bye. Next.
trial. He can use whatever words he wants, or say that he's on the right side of history. But even if he could successfully argue that the act of persuading someone is inherently manipulative and negative, he would still be guilty of doing that very thing. Even him putting forward the notion is him attempting to persuade the jury to believe that persuasion is bad. Also, please do not take a shot every time a version of that word has been said. You will die.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Alcohol poisoning is not a joke. All I'm saying is that if I was drinking every time he used the word theatrics or persuasion or a synonym for either of those words, I would be dead on the floor.
I'm more in agreement with the word logical. To be logical seems to be more so valuable than to persuade some. Also, the meaning of logical, to expect because of what has gone before, what has happened in prior arrangements, prior times.
Like your prior arrests?
Based on or using logic, the definition of logic, correct reasoning, or the science of.
What if you could taste the movie?
And another advertisement. We cannot go like... Oh my god. It's been 16 minutes. We've had 3 advertisements so far. That is bonkers. Whoa. I keep smacking my microphone stand, and that's not a good thing to do.
What is expected by the working of cause and effect. The working of cause and effect. Today and throughout this trial, you'll see that the cause does not hold the effect it should. The alleged cause does not hold the effect it should. I'm sure a lot of you are logical human beings. I myself base my life on being logical, being honest, being value to logic and honesty.
Logic and honesty, says the career criminal who is in prison after being caught and mistakenly freed.
It's my favorite pastime, present and future. Today I ask that those of you here be logical, not just the jurors who have the ability to judge this situation, but everybody. Logical as I would rather people be. Today I will show you a lot of things that are not logical. Throughout this trial, I will show you a lot of things that are not logical. Persuasion is not logical. I myself, personally, I promise not to attempt to persuade you, nor will I manipulate you. I do not find pleasure in doing such. As stated yesterday, I'm a pro se defendant.
In comparison to what? You say that you don't like doing it, but that leaves the door open to maybe pointing out someone who does enjoy manipulating and persuading someone. He's trying to cause doubt and questions, and that's the sort of thing that gets you into a mistrial, but not exactly an innocent verdict.
I'm held to the same standards as any attorney here today. I do not expect you to feel sorry for me because I'm a pro se defendant. I expect you to take it at what you value it as, along with agreeing with law, taking the law into consideration.
So I want you to ask yourself the following question right now. After listening to this man speak for nearly 6 minutes, do you think that logic defines his life? Do you agree that he lived his life in a logical, almost stoic existence, parsing through every situation without letting his emotions blind him to the facts, and only acting when he had thought through every possible response? If you answered yes, then there is nothing I can do to help you. I have no idea how anybody could possibly come to that conclusion, but here we are. One of the issues that he's running into here is that logic is one of the best ways to get someone onto your side. In other words, it's very persuasive. Bradley then brings up being a pro se defendant and implores the jury not to feel bad for him. He's hoping that by calling attention to this fact, they will show compassion towards him, despite him saying otherwise. He wants them to believe that he's being forced to represent himself by an unjust system that is trying to keep a good man down, instead of understanding that he demanded to represent himself after firing 2 public defenders.
They say in opening.
And the thing about public defenders is that they are doing their best to help you. And the fact that you don't want someone trying their best to help you and you'd rather do it yourself speaks volumes about yourself as a person, and there are a lot of issues there that probably need to be worked out in therapy.
Statement is made to acquaint the finder of facts with yourself or with the claims and what you intend to prove. That's exactly what I do today. Myself, I would say proof is a rare thing to come by these days. No one has absolute proof except for, per se, you have these cameras here in this room today, and I can prove that you are here today. There's a lot of claims placed forth that do not have an effect that coincides with them. I intend to show and prove you that today and throughout this trial. What I also prove you are.
The way this guy speaks really ticks me off, so we're just gonna just do a little bit of this. I feel like the guy in the bottom left right now, like, he looks so exhausted by all this. Oh my gosh.
The one who dies with the most.
I am just so sick of listening to this guy just, like, speak and exist. So let's just, let's just do a little bit of skipping. Like, okay, hold on. Is there a point where he's, like, getting sentenced? Is his sentencing in here? Nope. Yappy, 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 yippy, yappy, yippy, yappy, tube. Yippy, yappy, yippy, yappy, yippy, yappy. Oh my gosh. How can someone talk for this long? There's no reason for him to be talking this long. Okay, hold on.
Never been called to such a brutal crime scene. This would be a deeply traumatizing event, one that they might have subconsciously attempted to block out. The officer being honest about what he could and couldn't confidently remember is not the nuclear bomb that John believes that it is.
Investigator Miller. She arrived at 7:18 p.m.
So what you did was so horrific that police officers, people who have seen this kind of thing day in and day out, could not stomach it and were like mentally blocking it out. Oh no, 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 no. None of this. Surely he has a sentencing video somewhere.
That many times. Time to figure it out and give them that? Do we wait all the way until approximately 8 o'clock to put an ISBRN out? Which is the same thing as a BOLO. Be on the lookout. Stop them people. Stop them people from committing crimes. Stop them people from doing these heinous things.
He pronounces heinous as heinous. Okay.
Stop.
Let's run that back.
Stop them people from doing these heinous things.
Heinous. Not heinous. Heinous. Okay.
Stop them and apprehend them. We don't care about the information of who it was. But in Adams County, these officers right here, they waited for a car that was easily identifiable. A 2018 Toyota Avalon stating ABS on the license plate. They waited for information. Information. That's like saying, hey, let this child molester go out on bond and commit more crimes and wait to convict him. So he can do it more times. You didn't get to see that evidence either. I tried to draw it out. That evidence was in video form. Video form.
To be clear, the police did not sit on the information before putting it out. It took a great deal of time for Tina to be able to recall what had happened to her and give a description of the license plate.
Which is fair because she's a 77-year-old woman. She's not like in the prime of her life, like up there getting it, but like, ugh. And they always go after like the most vulnerable people too. So he's like, there's so much I have wrong with this guy, and it's so difficult to articulate why you don't like him, just from like the way he speaks and the way that he presents himself. So difficult to articulate.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you're human beings. I'm a human being. Logical. I'm having trouble understanding some of these things.
And human beings are things that make mistakes. And human beings are people that commit crimes. This doesn't, like, exclude you from anything or, like, make you other in somehow. Or you're not, like, even effectively othering the jury either. You're just yapping.
How people lie so much in this occurrence. How people place forth I don't knows, I don't remembers. How persons only know kidnapped, raped, hijacked, titles. But they don't know details when questioned on that stand. Details that persons should never ever in their life forget. Deputies.
Maybe when you conked them upside the head, it has something to do with it. Would you remember everything you were saying right now if I beat you over the head with a stick? No? Okay, then you're lying. That is his logic.
4 family members. Nobody knew details. Approximately when we left for the hospital. Didn't know. But you knew how long you waited outside. Over an hour, hour and a half. Well, that puts us past the time the documents on the admittance say. On the documents on the forensic documents say. Admittance time. Puts us well over that. How? I'm having a hard time understanding how a 911 call was made by a husband in the garage and stated to only be him. How it was made on 11/9/21. How CL was to have bled so much to be seated on a quilt. Her husband Schmidt. How she was seated on a quilt. But that quilt, where's it at? It wasn't taken into evidence. You saw the pictures. Would you like for me to attempt to pull the picture back up? That quilt in color form had no color red on it.
I didn't do all that stuff because the quilt that the victim was sitting on isn't stained red with their blood, and I would like to traumatize all of the jury with gore and viscera.
It was not taken into evidence and tested.
Ooh. Tell me there's a sentencing here.
Has Kyrie texted you back?
Oh, okay, hold on. You know what? I need to see. Let's see here. Ooh. Brad. Oh, thank goodness there is. Okay, hold on. We need to watch this. Ooh. Oh my God.
John, you have the right to make a statement directly to the court telling me anything that you think I should know before I sentence you. Your statement in allocution is voluntary. You do not have to make a statement, but if you would like to make a statement, now would be the time to do so.
Your Honor, people in the stands, I did not hurt your mother, your grandmother. I did not do any of that. I wasn't.
Oh my God. Okay, look, you're already guilty, dude. You did it in the eyes of the law. You're done.
Part of that this night. I was not there. There's a lot more to this than y'all know. Your Honor, I'm not guilty for this at all.
For this, specifically. The rest of the crimes I committed? Yeah, totes. Did all of them.
The court has considered the pre-sentence investigation reports, the evidence presented at trial, the statement by Mr. Yon, the arguments of counsel, as well as the statements and victim impact statements given today by family members. All of the statutory and non-statutory factors in aggravation and mitigation, whether specifically mentioned or not, the history and character of the defendant, and having due regard for the serious...
Is the judge only speaking in the left ear for anyone else, or is this like an issue for me?
Of the offense and with the objective of restoring the defendant to useful citizenship, I find the following. As to factors in aggravation, certainly the conduct caused or threatened serious harm. The defendant did receive compensation in taking the items from the person, vehicle, and home of his victim. The defendant has an extensive history of prior delinquency and criminal activity, including not less than 12 misdemeanors, but more importantly, sentences to the various departments of corrections in Illinois and Missouri, including 3 years, 3 years, 3 years, 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 3 years, and 7 years. None of which curtailed Mr. Yon from committing these offenses. The court finds that a sentence is necessary to deter others from committing the same crimes. Specifically finds the victim to have been 65 or 60 years or older, being 76, 77 years of age. I also note that according to the PSI, Mr. Yon was on a pretrial release for a felony in St. Charles County, Missouri, 2111-CR-03413, an unlawful possession of firearm by a dangerous felon, a Class C felony in Missouri. Also Marion County, Missouri, 21 MR-CR-00188 for a charged second-degree burglary, which would be a Class 4 felony in Missouri. I am in agreement with the state's position. I find none that apply to Mr. Yon. And again, the court is to consider the character of the offender. Mr. Yon, in my practice of law and in all my years, you are the most reprehensible person I've had in court before me.
Imagine being able to build.
Oh my God. That judge was eating him up.
Defender, as state's attorney, and now as judge. You take no responsibility for crimes that you clearly committed and were proven beyond a reasonable doubt. I believe you're narcissistic and unable to appreciate that.
Yep, narcissistic tendencies all the way through, but that does not mean he is a narcissist. It just means he has narcissistic tendencies.
Because to admit that would be admitting a fault, and in your mind, you are perfect. Well, sir, you're going to be perfect for 130 years in prison, because I'm adopting the state's recommendation. On count 1, home invasion for using a dangerous weapon during such, the maximum 30 years is imposed. I'm also finding that that crime resulted in great bodily harm to the victim, meaning you'll serve it at 85%, not 50%.
I love this judge. The way that he is articulating everything so clearly, and the way that this judge has so much diction, and how he's still remaining calm even though he clearly feels so passionate about the subject at hand.
That'll be followed by 18 months mandatory supervised release, if you're ever released. Count 3.
That's a big if.
Aggravated kidnapping, Class X felony. I'm imposing the maximum 30 years. Department of Corrections. That likewise will be at 85% for the same reason as previously stated, inflicting severe bodily injury. That will be consecutive to the sentence in count 1. Count 4, aggravated vehicular hijacking. Class X felony, 6 to 30 years. I'm imposing a 30-year sentence maximum, followed by 18 months mandatory supervised release, specifically finding that that should be served at 85%, again, because your actions resulted in great bodily harm to the victim.
Christine Lohman even said she wasn't hijacked.
Sir,
herself.
I would not speak.
In the video.
So that will be consecutive to counts 1 and 3. Count 5, maximum on the Class X aggravated criminal sexual assault. Range 16 to 40 years. I'm imposing the 40-year sentence. That will be followed by mandatory supervised release of 3 years to life, and that by statute will be mandatorily consecutive to the sentences imposed in counts 1, 3, and 4.
Takes
130
the judge
years
11
being imposed.
130. He is never going to see the outside of a cell alive. They should just bury him under the prison and finish his sentence and then, move his plot elsewhere. Solves that issue pretty well.
By statute, I must advise that at 85%, you'll be serving a total minimum of 110 years in the Illinois Department of Corrections. Anything else regarding sentencing, Mr. Jones, prior to advising of appeal rights?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Nelson?
No.
Mr. Yan, you do have the right to appeal. If you only want to appeal the judgment of conviction, not including the correctness of the sentence imposed or any aspect of the sentencing hearing, then within 30 days of today's date, you must file with the Circuit Clerk of Adams County a written notice of appeal or request that the Circuit Clerk prepare and file it on your behalf. However, if any part of what you want to appeal relates to the correctness of your sentence or any aspect of the sentencing hearing, then before you file a notice of appeal, you must file first, within 30 days of today's date, a written motion to reconsider sentence and/or challenging sentencing hearing. That likewise would be filed at the Adams County Circuit Clerk's office. Your motion must be in writing, must be filed with the Circuit Clerk of this court within 30 days of today, and must include all of the grounds or reasons for your motion, as any issue or claim of error or mistake not included would be waived for purposes of your appeal. If your motion is granted, the sentence may be modified or some other action may be taken to correct whatever the problem may be.
Oh my goodness, someone is hacking up a lung back there.
If your motion is denied, okay.
She needs a cough drop. Oh my goodness.
Okay. You good? All right. If your motion is denied, then you would have 30 days from the date the motion was denied to file with the Circuit Clerk of the court a written notice of appeal.
Okay, great.
AI.
The Circuit Clerk prepare and file it on your behalf to start the process of going to the appellate court. If you cannot afford the assistance of an attorney for your motion or your appeal, an attorney will be appointed to represent you free of charge. If you cannot afford copies of the transcripts in your case for your motion or appeal, those likewise will be provided to you free of charge. Do you understand your right to appeal, Mr. Yan?
Yes, sir.
All right, we will be in recess.
Your Honor, I have some things to take up with regards to transcripts. I'm still waiting on pretrial transcript that you said would come a long time ago.
Mr. Yan, you're represented by counsel, and so he'll need to make all motions and arguments to the court if he chooses to do so.
Okay, as far as appeal, I'll represent myself on appeal at this time, so I'm going to need the transcripts. I mean, unless they're being manipulated like the last ones were, and they need time to do that.
Oh my gosh, this guy cannot stop. He just does not know when to quit. Refuses to admit defeat.
Mr. Yan, again, you're being represented by counsel at this time, and so he'll have to make all motions and arguments for you. I need the transcripts. That should have come a long time ago. This year's transcripts. Mr. Jones, do we want to take up the 22 22 CF 713 and 720.
Judge, based on the court sentence today, I'll have an order prepared showing those cases are dismissed.
All right.
That's what Judge McCartney.
I'm sorry, we're going to have to go back on the record also. Thank you for reminding me of that. Mr. Yon, because 22 CF 671, you were sentenced to 7 years while you were awaiting trial in this matter. These sentences are also going to be consecutive to that sentence. So that'll be a total of 137 you'll be serving.
Finally. Oh my gosh. Okay, we don't need to see anything else. This guy has really ticked me off. Oh my gosh. Ugh. I feel bad for his lawyer. His lawyer looks so stressed out right now. Oh my god. Alright. Well, I think this is going to be it for me today. Lovely folks of the chat. I am just, I'm so irritated. I'm just so irritated by this guy. He's just, you know? So I think I'm gonna let this finish playing out, and then we'll be heading into our stream as offline screen, and then I will be ending stream. Thank you so much for joining me, etc., etc. If you are not watching this on Twitch and you are watching this on YouTube, that means you missed the stream. But I stream every now and then on Twitch, so you're more than welcome to come on over whenever you'd like.
671, the one where y'all violated my rights.
That's enough.
I'm asking a question.
I don't need him back for any order of habeas corpus. All right. So when you got the orders drafted?
Yes, the orders are drafted, and we're providing those to Commissioner Nelson.
Thank you.
I need the transcripts. I'm going to do it myself. Y'all are going to do the adult first.
$723 miscuts.
On State's motion, 21 CF 713, 21 CF 723 are being dismissed. That order also will be provided to you. Anything else, Mr. Jones?
Nothing from the people on this case, Your Honor.
Mr. Nelson?
Nothing, thank you.
We adjourned in this case. Thank you.
Please rise.
Goodbye forever.
John, I think we need him for the next case.
Yes, there's another case.
We have another case
Judge
with him.
McCartney.
Judge McCartney, so we got to take that.
Goodbye. 137 years. My goodness gracious me. What do the comments have to say here? He usually has hair, y'all. I respect for the judgment. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. 137 years. Yeah, these are not like congruent. That's like stacked on top, on top, on top. So when it's congruent years for the crime, it means that they will be, it's kind of like all at the same time. So be you. So if like you got a 30-year sentence and then a 20-year sentence, then what would happen is that you are then, then you only serve like the 30 years, like they go at the same time, right? Or if you get like 2 30-year sentences, then you only serve 30 years if it's congruent. But if they're stacked on top of each other like this, that means you are going to be in jail for a very, very long time. Like 60 years. So, no more of him. I'm so sick of this guy. Oh, I hate him so much. Oh my God, I hate this guy. Bye.